questions or want to come along with us, please put them into the live chat for the YouTube, or of course you're welcome to join us in the Jitsi meeting. Just a reminder, if you do join in the Jitsi meeting, please make sure you are muted when you join so that there is no background noise. Otherwise, you are welcome to come on mic and ask any questions that you need to ask. So this session is going to be going through the new release of QGIS, and that is of course 3.40 or 3.40. We'll be looking at the changelog, so the visual changelog. I do suggest that you go and look at the highlights video made for us very kindly by Marius, which is already up. It's been up for about a month or so. I put it up some time ago, so do go and take a look at that. And yeah, then I'm going to hand over to Tim, who's going to take us through some of the release information, and then we'll walk through all the cool features.
Hey everybody, and thanks Amy, and hi Jeremy. It's exciting time to have another release out and lots of new toys to go and explore. I'm going to just get my screen share up here. I only have one screen today, so I can't watch the meeting and share my screen at the same time. But so the new release is out, and I wanted just to show you on the website. First of all, what we're going to be looking at today. You can find all the details about each release in these visual changelogs that we publish, thanks to the help of some great community members, in particular Charlie, who goes in the background and prepares the changelog every release, and Selma, our QGIS documentation writer, who helps to make sure that all the features are well described, and Lova, who goes and publishes the release changelog into the website, and many other people that, the developers themselves that obviously make all the nice features that we're going to show you. So each release, we have a page like this, which outlines all the nice new things that came in the release. And Mario, also, let me not forget him, creates these beautiful videos, which I think, Amy, you're going to show us just now. And then the release changelog is just a nice long Christmas basket of things, which is what we're going to dig into just now. I just wanted to show you in context of the project and our roadmap where we are. So this is QGIS 3.40, and you might see that it's got this orange banner on the top of the splash screen. And that some people ask me sometimes, is it a mistake to be there or something? No, that's not a mistake. That's to let you know that this release 3.40 is going to become the next LTR. And the way that works, you can see on the roadmap page. So we've got our beautiful new roadmap page on our new website. And on this page, you can see what the upcoming release schedule is. So you'll see that we currently have 3.34 as our LTR release. It's had 14 bug fixes. So LTRs get a lot more of these bug fix releases than other releases. And that's the whole point of them, is that they're supposed to be more stabilized and reliable than the latest releases and development versions that we put out, which don't get as much QA applied to them. So you can see that in 21 days, we'll be putting out the next point release for that. And then if you want to track the more like bleeding edge releases, you can see the timeline for them as well. But if you scroll down on this table, in this page, you'll find this table, which is the schedule. And you can actually subscribe to the schedule in your calendar application if you use like Google Calendar or Apple Calendar or whatever you use. If you want to get notifications of when the releases are coming to plan for the release in your work. But you can see that we have just released on the 22nd 3.401 and 3.3413. And this 3.40 being the release candidate, it's going to switch into this column and become the long-term release. So you can see over here, it suddenly jumps over to the second column. The second column is the long-term releases. So I know sometimes people struggle to read this table, but it is actually very clear and well laid out if you just understand the logic. So we're tracking here 14, and then there'll be 15 bug fix releases against the current LTR, and then in February next year, we're going to jump over to the new LTR, which will be based on 340, the one that's just released now. And the reason it's 4 is the strategy is that before we take this and make it an LTR, we want to have a cycle of bug fixes applied to it, because there's often last minute issues that get identified, especially when you're adding a bunch of new features. So we have like 4 stabilization releases before it actually becomes called the LTR release. And then after that, it will get more stabilization in place. But we already know that like the initial teething problems will have hopefully been caught in these 4 preliminary releases before it becomes the LTR. So that's just a bit of background if you're trying to understand how the release process works.
Tim, Eurojam on YouTube asks, do we know when QGIS will become QGIS 4 and no longer 3 point something?
It's not, you can see it's not on the table yet. There are some plans to make that happen, and but I don't have a date yet, but it could even happen in 2025 that we actually go and revise this table and do that. Now, why would we do a version 4 rather than just a 41, 42, 43, whatever? There are going to be some breaking changes. That would be the impetus for switching to QGIS 4. So the things that we're expecting to change to make a version 4 would be the switch to Qt 6, which is the programming framework that we use to build QGIS with. Actually, there's already Qt 6 support in these versions. You can already build them with Qt 6. And changes to the Python implementation. There's already been some work and research going on into like shifting the whole Python implementation over for to use the latest Python binding system that comes with PyQt 6. And if we want to shed unwanted parts of the API, so we often drag along legacy features and functions that we just keep there for compatibility's sake, but they create a maintenance overhead. So between those 3 things, they may together make enough for us to do a 4.0 release. For now, as you can see on the table, we don't have a fixed date yet. It's something that is being discussed in the back rooms, but we'll update this once we have a firm plan for it.
And Tim, just again, for those of us who are new, Eurojam says at least after 3.99, we have to go to 4.
I think there's 3.10, 100, and then that's going to be confusing. And it was confusing when we went from like 3.9 to 3.10, and people thought like it was jumping back to 1 again. Yeah. Let's hope we get there before 3.99.
And for those of us who are newer to QGIS and maybe newer users, would you suggest the long-term release for those users? Is it more stable? That's what most people say about the long-term release. And where can they get that easily?
Yeah, so we do suggest that. So if you go to the download page on the new website, find Windows here. Where is Windows? There we go, Windows. You'll see that we actually use a green fill for the one that we recommend. Hopefully that sort of design language makes it sort of more likely that you'll click on this one and less likely that you'll click on that one. That was the intent with the design language. But yeah, so we do recommend, if you're not sure, take the LTR. And if you want to if you know that you want all the, like, for example, we're going to show you all nice new toys and features in this release, and you know you want to try out those things, then take the latest version. But if you're working in a production environment, you're probably better off following the LTR, because it does get all that long-term fixing applied to it, which these ones won't. But you can also, depending on your environment, like if your IT, like some people have the IT shop dictates what versions they get to run. But if you have the option, you can actually install both on your machine at once and switch between them, as we doing today. Like I'm running 3.4 here, but I also have various other versions on my system, so you can install them side by side. On some Linux distributions make it less easy to have them side by side, but even on Linux you can have the flatpak version, which is what we're showing off today, alongside your package manager version. And on Windows, you can just install the two side by side without too much problems if your IT policies allow it. So yeah,
Brilliant stuff.
Okay, so
I think we're just going to dive into the changelog now and go through some of the features that we like and I think are cool, go through it, etc. And then I will be sharing the highlights video at the end. It is about 14 minutes or so, so I'll just play that to end the session.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions wanting to try to understand, like it's not always clear what the features do, then we can try to help you explain to you what features are. We may not know ourselves, but we'll try our best to explain things if it's not obvious from the descriptions here. Do you want to take over the screen again then, Amy? And
well, would you like to start us off on a couple of features, or I'm happy to show a couple of features. I mean, mine are not in order in any way. They were just features that I saw and kind of liked.
Yeah, well, let's jump over to you first. And what I usually do is like do a roulette wheel and just scroll up and down and get someone to shout stop, and then look at the feature as well if we don't have fixed idea of what we want to show.
Well, you stopped on a feature that I want to show, so let's go with the merging cells.
let's jump over to you, and then.
Alrighty, we can go between. All right. So I'm just going to share my full screen here. Hopefully you all can see it. There we go. I can see myself. All right. So there are a couple of cool features. Obviously, I am definitely a QGIS user. I use it to make a lot of maps, etc. So I get quite excited when I see, work in the layout, in the map layouts, etc. Because I make a lot of like very highly customized map layouts that are, have logos and designs and layouts and that sort of thing. I mean, most people are popping a map onto an A4 piece of paper and sending them out. Whereas often I will make, customized tables for that map and then use an expression to pull some data from somewhere. So these a lot of them are quality of life updates, but they're making a big difference in my life. All right, so let's open. I have a very ugly map here that I pulled together this morning, but it's just close to where I live, a couple of roads, etc., and elevation model, etc. So there are a couple of things in the actual QGIS, particularly in the color, so to do with the colors. I won't go through all of those, and we will come across those features, but as we go through, we will. But let's go to the feature that Tim originally landed on, which is, of course, being able to merge cells in the layout. So I'm going to pop over to my open layout here. And I've got a quick little map that I put together here. And you can see I've got a couple of elements on this map. It's not pretty, etc. But the first thing, which is fully, I'm just going to hide this. That's irritating. There we go. The first thing that is a fully quality of life improvement that I saw in the changelog is they've moved the page properties to the main menu. So if you go to your main layout menu and you go down to the sort of like 7th or so option, it is the page properties, which is just quality of life. That as a user is where I've always expected it to be. When I open it, you can see the page properties here and you can edit it as your map looks.
Right click on the background of the map, like on the background of your layout, and then choose it from the context menu.
Exactly.
There,
Yeah, so this is fully quality of life, but I love it. And then the next one that I thought was really nice, which is the one that Tim did land on, is being able to merge cells in a table. So you can see I have this very ugly little table here that I made this morning. And if I pop into editing this, I'm just going to go and grab some columns here. And you can see here that I've already merged two cells, and it works very similar to other, spreadsheet type programs in that you can add your information here. I'm just adding nonsense numbers, etc. But then if you want to merge specific cells, you can grab both of them. So you just click and drag, right click on them and say merge selected cells. And there you go. You get a really nice set of merged cells. So for example, if I wanted to merge all of these into a title row for my table, I could do so. And let's pop in, this is a cool title. And I can also not spell dish. I'm having a day today. This is a cool title. And there we go. I've unclicked out of there.
I think you must just work on the...
All right. So, I'm apparently dishing today. that's the... right. So that is how you can do it. It's as easy as that. You highlight the cells that you would like to merge. You right-click and say merge cells. And then, of course, your table will have your merged cells in it. So you can see I now have a very nice sort of Franken table going on here. But it is a really, really useful little feature for someone like me who makes a lot of static tables where I pull things through with expressions. This is really ideal. Another thing that I was just poking around at, if I pop my notes here while we're in the layout, is the scale bar actually has a new feature, and they've updated a different lot of methods for you to actually calculate the scale bar with. So this is really useful when obviously the top and bottom of your map are in a slightly in the CRS have a slightly different length to them, etc. You can actually define which part of your map you want to have your scale put to. So you can calculate along the top, middle, and bottom, or of course you can average the top, middle, and bottom. I generally go for the average of the top, middle, and bottom, and that was what it previously was. But now you have a lot of more like granular control over how the scale gets applied to your map. So that's also pretty cool. That was also one of the features that I saw on the roulette wheel of features that I thought I'd just talk about while I was here in the map layout. So maybe, Tim, I can hand over back to you and we can do a couple of roulette options and see.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to mention one of the key new features of this release, something that's been
is that the project functions?
For a long time, is the addition of CMYK support. So just as a little explanation, if you're working with colors in QGIS up to now, you always had to define a color in terms of its red, green, and blue components. But for print production, printers work with CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And so they use a different color space. And if you want to get high fidelity color reproductions done of your map, so you're setting this red of your line, for example, to a specific red, and you want to know that that is going to be the same as it prints out when it comes out of the printers. Switching your color model to CMYK will give you like a stronger guarantee that the colors will be identical on the printed material as they are on your screen. There's some caveats to that. Of course, your screen needs to be calibrated. If you get really into all this stuff, you actually get calibration tools, and your screen itself needs to support what they call the full CMYK color gamut in order to be able to really know that what you're seeing on the screen matches the color that you've chosen. But this is really a huge advance in QGIS now, because we are able to level up our print production to like professional print quality print outputs. So you'll see in the change.
There's even 2 layers of decimal on those float values for the CMYK, which is also really nice. That's super granular for colors.
Yeah, so you can very precisely set your colors. And if you just search on this page for CMYK on the release page, you'll see that this has been implemented in various places. So we've got it in color ramps. There's a CMYK preview now. There's in the expressions that you use to construct a color, you can now create CMYK color like algorithmically. And yeah, and there's other new expressions here for creating ramp colors with CMYK. So this is, I'm sure there's probably more places where it's going to find its way into QGIS, but this is really a big game changer for us to be able to make this print production quality maps directly in QGIS.
There is a couple of notes from the live chat, so I'm just going to pop to those. Oh, okay. Aaron AARONHPA says, every time I read the change log, I have a happy day. Keep it up. And then Eurojam does say, just with the CMYK, be aware that the new feature, the X4 PDF feature, that only works with Qt 6.8. So if you don't have Qt 6.8 with your 3.4, then your PDF is not going to export correctly. So that's just a note. Thanks, Eurojam. That's great. But
yeah, and there's actually a backstory to that because Qt itself, the library that we used to build QGIS, didn't have all the needed support for CMYK. So besides having it added in QGIS, we first needed CMYK support in Qt. And that was QGIS funded or co-funded. I think we fully funded it, but I don't know. Maybe we co-funded the work in Qt itself to add that support. And then as he's explaining, we need to wait for that, or we need to build QGIS with that version, which is not going to be backported back to the old Qt 5, which all the versions of QGIS are using, or the current versions of QGIS are using. So you got to be using that next gen version to get the full benefit.
And we have a request. Tim, can you explain the new digitize feature with the circle intersection in the advanced digitizing tools?
I can try. First, to unpack that a bit, you have to enable the advanced digitizing panel, which is not a lot of people realize it's there, I guess. And I also usually go and enable the advanced digitizing toolbar here as well. So if you've got these enabled, you've got a whole bunch more tools than you would if you just do, like, without these and you start digitizing a layer, you might just have some, you might be just using the more like simple, like add a feature, move a node kind of options. But with this advanced digitizing, you can, I just want to enable the digitizing one as well. You can use more like CAD style construction for your digitizing. So, for example, I can set up constraints here to say, like, just select something. My QGIS is having a bit of a wobble. Yeah, you'll see that we've got all these. Once you've selected a line and you use the node editing tool here, you get all these construction aids that you can use. And the construction aids let you, for example, fix the directionality. So I can say, oopsie, I can say that I only want to allow a vertex to be added if it's 90 degrees from the previous one, or 180 degrees, or what have you. So you see that there's this new tool added over here, right? And so you can go then and construct. Let me see if I can do it right here. I think my QGIS is having a bit of a think. I just want to try again. Might be still some QA issues with it. The idea is then you can lay down circles and use them as the. I'm going to just switch back to the diagram here, and use them as snapping points for your digitizing. So if you look in the diagram there, he's created a circle and set the diameter of the circle, and then you can go along and snap onto the intersections between those two circles. I don't know of a strong use case for that. I don't know if they maybe describe it in the notes here. Let me see.
What if you have, for example, two wells that you want to buffer around, and then you need to start digitizing maybe at the point that is closest to both wells, but far enough away that it's not going to pollute those two things? So you would want to snap it to that exact point?
Yeah, but I think another example he's mentioning Kogo here. So that's when you're doing like survey style work. So could be that you've got reference points for the corners of a property, and you digitize them, and you extend this, and you know that from the reference point the property boundary extends 100 meters, for example. You could set the circle with the radius of 100 meters, and then you take the other reference point, and then you're able to kind of like see where the intersection is between them. Again, maybe somebody else's, with the wells could be also. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably all sorts of unexpected uses for doing that as well. But let me see if my QGIS has decided to unfreeze a bit. I'm just having a bit of a problem. Let me try to just see here if I set that. Oh, okay, there you can see my circle. It's just a bit. It's a bit.
There we go. I can see it quite nicely now.
So if I click my next circle over here, you just have to be patient. It's one thing that I don't have on computers is patience, but sometimes you just have to be patient. Okay, and then I'll set this one to 1,000. Okay, and then you can see that we now have two snapping points. So then if I'm going to extend this line out, for example, back on that tool. You can see it's actually trying to snap that one there. Oh.
It snapped the others.
It went a bit crazy. I'll try one more time, and then otherwise.
I saw there, so you're clicking on the map. I'm assuming the XY coordinates you could specify. So say you took those as field measurements.
Yes, yeah. So you can put those in like off your survey sheet, for example. It's hard to know whether it's accepted by click or not because it's sort of like just stalling a bit.
Bit of a lag there.
No, okay. I think I'll give up for now. But yeah, I hope you get the general idea. Maybe it needs a bit of performance tuning. This feature is not particularly huge or anything, but okay, let's move on. But anyway, hopefully that helped you understand how to find the feature. At least it's in here, and maybe if you're trying to use it and you are getting issues like I am, then please file a ticket and we can try to fix it.
So Tim, I have a request. So I was quite interested in the project functions. We're now allowing QGIS to store custom user-defined functions, and that is embedded in the project file. So I wanted to know more about how that works, because obviously we use a lot of functions to do different functionality. And I know, Jeremy, you had an issue with this at some point where you by mistake cleared something or something happened.
Yeah, last week I was playing around with this because I discovered the feature before I looked at the release log. And pro tip to anyone out there, read before you click. And I basically wiped out an entire project and soft locked it from being able to do anything. I couldn't like move labels around, couldn't change labels, couldn't do anything just because I basically deleted everything that the project was like, yes, we need this to function, and yeah, it's gone. So
of course you had backups, so it was
I had 2 backups luckily, but it was just really funny. I tell you what, I can't do anything on this project. So this is a cool feature though, like particularly for storing like variables in projects instead of just trying to store them on my machine. I know particularly like sharing projects between other people, like sharing my projects with other people is going to be cool to actually just have the variable stored there instead of being like, okay, you need to add it now quickly.
But are the variables stored kind of like how you store an SVG? You know how you can embed an SVG, or is it stored kind of like how when you save a model to a project?
I think it's just embedded, but let's go and test it out. I'm just trying to find the feature here in the change.
So I saw the feature, and exactly for that reason, Jeremy, I thought that would be really useful between like me and the interns. If I make a project with these really cool project functions and expressions in it, I can then save those and send it to them as one whole project.
Yeah, like those tourism maps we've done before, like the geometry generation we did for like the wave lines and stuff, following those different tutorials, being able to save that in a project and share that is great.
Yeah, so it looks like the workflow is basically you go, let's just try to get this thing closed, which is, so if you've got an expression for something, let's go and make an expression here. Normally your expression is going to be like, I don't know, we're doing a color now. Let me just do something with a simple number rather. So you can put a number in like that, right? And that's a simple expression. And then you could also make an expression like this using Python. All right, and so now we've got this option here to put it in your project functions instead of in a file. And so then this expression that I create will be, like I say, embedded into the project. I'm going to just try to, oopsie, make this box a bit bigger. Use the good trick here. You can control scroll in these windows to make the font bigger if you're an old man like me and you can't see. So this custom expression could be just takes in one value and it returns another, something like that. Just give it a proper description. We call it add 5. This is just the help text that's going to be shown for it. So we want to get it kind of right. So if we put like that, then we would get 10 out. No. Something like that. So now I've got a new function defined in my project. If I go looking over here, do you remember the name of it? Add 5. Is it going to show? There it is there. My custom there. There's all my help text that I've written for it. And I can put that function into my project here, reference a field, or I can just put an absolute number in there. And with a bit of luck, it will show 71 there at the bottom, right? And now when I save my project, that function will be embedded into the project. And if you want to know where it went, which was your other question, the way that I would normally do that is I would go and save it as a QGIS file, and then wander along to the project. I have to find so my project is here. The one that I just saved is Marfa Hikes. This one. It is called that cloud one. Yeah. So if you open it in a text editor, Notepad or whatever you prefer, then we could go and look for that, what's it called, add 5.
Mm-hmm.
There you can see it's referenced the expression in the symbol for that symbol layer. And then here you can see that the function itself is being embedded into the project file with all my notes and things. So when you send the project file, the QGIS file or QGZ file to somebody, then they'll get the actual definition of that function, which is really nice. Power user tip. All right, what's next?
All right, well, we are out of requests. That last one was my request, and then no others on the live chat.
In the attribute tables, the auto-expand is a quality of life thing. It's up near the top. It is so useful.
Oh. Does that mean that I can see all the data that's in that column?
So instead of double having to like open an attribute table and double click each column to look at everything, you just open it and it goes boom.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, so is this one here, Jeremy?
Yeah, that one. It is. I was playing around with it for like the last 5 minutes. I'm having so much fun.
So is it just quality of life? Is there anything you have to do? Is it automatic?
So if you go up to settings on the top, then options, and then in the data, not data sources, in the, I can't remember what it was.
I always try to search for the options first.
Sorry, it is. I think it's in data sources actually. Yeah, the auto size. all
You
columns.
can see all the things I searched for that get yellow highlights, so it's easy to find.
That's cool.
Thousands of options in QGIS. So, okay, so
Then after that, you just open an attribute table now, and you'll see all the columns are expanded to fit your text.
Ooh,
That's
that is
nice.
a quality of life feature, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice. Just as a little note, this attribute table is one of the things that might also push us to QGIS 4, because we're trying to plan a complete rewrite of the attribute table, because attribute table kind of doesn't cope very well if you've got hundreds of thousands or millions of records. And so we are trying to plan a funded rewrite of this so that we can have it perform well, even no matter how big the data set is that you're working with. It should get more celebrations once that happens. Okay, that's a nice one. Should we pick another random?
Pick a random one, unless Sibilwe, you have one that you want to take a look at.
No, nothing so far. I'm good.
Is that a map decoration? What is that?
Yes, annotations. So Niall, trying to remember which release, but he added a whole bunch of improvements to the annotations, including annotations layers. So you get like you can think of like a redlining layer that you can add to QGIS, and I think you can do it over here. Create. Where do we create them again? I don't actually, maybe they just come automatically the first time you add one. I can't remember where we create the layer. Oh, there we go. So
there we go. Makes sense.
Annotation layer here. And then it's a kind of special layer which is not got geometries in it like in the traditional layers. It's a place for you to park all your pictures and diagrams. So now I can go and I can create geometries here. I think I might have some snapping or some rules, something going on that makes my digitizing a bit weird here. But I can also add, let's just ignore that extremely bad art. I can add shapes as well. Just wait for it.
I see Eurojam just mentioned that the new annotation framework started in 3.16.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Eurojam. Yeah. And we sometimes jokingly refer to QGIS as the drunk GIS because you get double of everything, like you're seeing double. So there was an older annotations framework as well, which is a little bit separate from this new annotations framework. But the new one is much better because you can embed everything onto this annotation layer. Let me just try to get out of this thing here. It's got some really cool features. So this is the new one that's been added now, this create feature.
That's nice.
So
this would totally work with my bird map. I can put the point where the bird was, and then I can add the picture that I took of the bird.
And it's georeference, so then you sort of pin it to that spot.
Brilliant.
My QGIS will just stop going crazy.
While we're finalizing this look through, Anita, hi Anita, nice to hear from you, asks, do you know which factors influence whether a certain QGIS installation will be able to write GeoParquet?
Right, GeoParquet.
Correct.
It's your GDAL version. I know this one.
It's your GDAL version. Yay, Jeremy. So Anita says, I haven't had any success with Conda Forge on Mint so far.
Yeah, So the question is, will we be able to write GeoParquet? Because we can already read GeoParquet for some time, I think.
So the question is, do you know which factors influence whether a certain QGIS installation is able to write GeoParquet?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be whether you've got the right GDAL version that supports it.
What is the right GDAL version?
That I don't know. Is it?
I think it's 7.1 and up. Let me just double check.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you very much.
I know this from
is that?
Is that a photo of your recent olive harvest?
Yes.
Brilliant.
So yeah, so that's nice. And then if I pan and zoom, you see that the photo's stuck onto my map.
Correction, it's GDAL version 3.9 and up.
Oh. Did you say 3.9 and up?
Yeah, 3.9.0 and up.
I don't know, Anita, if that helps, let me know. Pop another question in the live chat.
So you can tell which version of GDAL you've got if you go to the About screen on QGIS. I've got GDAL 3.10, so I'll see if I can write a GeoParquet out.
Let's do it.
Why is my brain having a wobble? Export.
There, fourth from the bottom.
Save. Okay, and there's Geo. So I don't see GeoParquet in the list. I know for reading GeoParquet, we just kind of like. So I don't even know if it even shows in the list here. Let's go and see if we add layer.
So Anita says she has 3.9.2, but no luck. And she's specifically trying with Conda Forge on Mint.
I happen to have Conda QGIS installed here. But I guess the Conda ones will be, it doesn't matter to, because is she running 3.40 or 3.38 still?
I'm sure she'll let us know in the next comment.
But on my Conda version, sorry, I have got GDAL 3.9. What did you said that was the minimum version you needed?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yeah, 3.9 is the minimum. You got 3.9.1, which is fine. 3.9.0 is the minimum.
So the QGIS version is 3.38. That's what she's using.
Okay, so it's the same one I had there. She's probably also on 3.9. But she said a different version.
She's on 3.92 for GDAL.
GDAL. Okay. I was going to say, if you go over here to Vector and you choose File and you look at this list over here, you see it doesn't also. Let me see if it shows GeoParquet. It doesn't actually show GeoParquet in the list, but I know that it works because we were using it the other day for a project.
So Anita says it looks like you have the same issue that she's having. There is no GeoParquet available.
But Anita, for reading, I think you can just drag and drop it into QGIS and it will just read it. Let me see if I can find a small sample GeoParquet file quickly.
So Anita says, yes, she can read, but not write. And Eurojam mentions that in 3.40 with GDAL 3.9.3, and the GeoParquet is available.
But Eurojam, maybe you can just tell us how to find the option to use it, because I don't see it listed here. Unless I'm just blind, which is also a possibility.
Taking a look too.
Let's see if he's got some sage advice for us.
Absolutely. All right, so that is one of the things we're probably going to need to take a bit of a look at. We can check it in maybe the Telegram channel, etc., and see if we can sort that out.
These are nice anyway. The annotations are really
Oh
great.
yeah, absolutely.
Great feature, can like spice up your map a lot.
Eurojam says it's the third item from the top.
Oh, that's a friendly way of saying yes, I am blind. Let me go. Export, save features as not for me.
Oh, I see. Yeah, for you it's AutoCAD.
Maybe he's on. Maybe you can confirm whether he's on Windows or what he's on.
All right, well, let's move on to the next feature. We can always circle back to this in one of the many supporting chat rooms on Telegram or anywhere you prefer to interact with the QGIS community.
This is pretty cool. I won't try and replicate it now, but you can now create these like stacked bar charts.
Oh, that's cool for population data.
I haven't gone to see how you actually do it, but I presume it's just in the layer. You just create two separate entries on your layer properties. That's pretty nice. All the mesh stuff, we need to get the mesh guys back on to show us all this mesh stuff. I never really spent the time to go and figure out how to work with mesh as well. The vector tile stuff looks interesting. Vector tile's always been supported in QGIS, but now you can specify multiple, I guess, mirrors of where your data comes from for your vector tiles, which is nice.
It's nice to clip the distance.
Yeah, this is for when you're in 3D, so you can clip nicely to the layout. We looked at the merged cells. The PDF4, GeoPDF, we used to be called GeoPDF, but now we don't call them GeoPDF because there was a trademark issue. Apparently GeoPDF, or I think were they called GeoPDF before? I think it's a trademark owned by somebody. So it's been renamed to Geospatial PDF. And
oh, look at the time. Okay, we are at 12:54 my side. So if we do want to play out with the video, I better start doing that because it's about 30 minutes.
We can always have a dedicated session for that.
All right. Great stuff. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. And thank you so much to the live chat for being really interactive today. Again, as Tim mentioned, we can have either another session about all of the questions that we have, and then we can also go to the several community platforms. So just to close out this session, I'm going to play the full highlights reel for the changelog. So that'll be about 13 minutes. If you wish to watch, please feel free to do so. And then I will just close the session for today. Please note that there is a session this afternoon. It's going to be a really great session with Adelacides. And I encourage everyone to come. He really wants the community's input and some questions answered. So please all come to that. It is, of course, later today. And I will see you all there. Let me put the video on. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Jeremy and Siabiwe, for joining.
All right. Bye.